It's high praise, Coach, from Brett Favre. What do you think the ceiling is for Patrick Mahomes?
Look, he's incredibly talented, and I'm not sure what the ceiling is. And I know we're reaching some new bars in terms of yards allowed. And look, things have changed dramatically since over the last 5 years in terms of what defenses can do, how much they can jam, how much they can hit, and all these records are being rewritten. So I think there needs to be a little bit of a grain of salt there. I imagine that he's probably going to strive to score more than 9 points in the first half against New England. You know, that 4.5 points a game against New England, that's probably something that he'll work to overcome here in the coming months. I imagine the bar, though, has got to be what Tom Brady has said. You know, can he bring his team to 9 Super Bowls? Can he win 6 Super Bowls? Can he consistently compete at a high level? Can he not take the maximum amount of money every single year on his second and third contract so the team can be good? I mean, there's a bar that's been set. You know, whether you want to call it the bar or the ceiling, someone else has already set that. And if we're just going to look at it as he has a ton of passing yards, well, congratulations. That'll be a really nice record for him. Or are we going to look at it as he's brought his team to multiple championships and he's been a selfless guy and he's had success at a consistent level for a long time?
Has any quarterback ever been better at this point in their career?
I mean, are we looking at it apples to apples?
I'm asking.
There's been a lot of
Coach Mangini's opinion.
There's been a lot of great quarterbacks that
I would say Dan Marino.
You think Dan Marino in '80 was better than Mahomes? That's the name I would say.
Well, the game was different.
Yeah.
He played at the same level, and you can.
And the game was different.
You can do more things to him.
And you could hit the quarterback. You could hit the wide receivers.
Yep.
You could jam the wide receivers. You could make contact. You could hit people in the middle of the field. And look, I understand where we're going with safety, and I appreciate that. But things have changed dramatically for quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
Right.
So if we want to just look at numbers to numbers,
no, I'm not trying to do that. I was really just asking your opinion. And by the way, I think Marino's a great answer. I think you can make the argument that when you adjust for era, Dan Marino's 1984 season, which was his second year, is the greatest season any quarterback has ever had. So I'm not necessarily going to disagree with you on that. But that's the list of players at this point in their career you could make an argument are even on the same page as Patrick Mahomes. You can't. Peyton Manning at this point in his career wasn't close. Rodgers was not playing yet. Favre was on his second team. Brady was nowhere near the passer that Mahomes is right now.
Right, but he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. That coach.
In his second year.
Listen. But we don't. Here's what we don't get to do with Tom Brady. You can't an hour ago talk about all the things the Patriots do better than everyone from a top down. Belichick does this great. They have this culture. They have this coaching staff. They have this infrastructure. And then say, but the Super Bowls are all Brady's. The Super Bowls are a personal accomplishment.
But that's not what I'm saying. And look, institutionally, they have a ton of experience, okay, that they can draw on. And that's come from time. Tom Brady allows that to take place because Tom Brady hasn't been affected by the wealth, by the fame, by the success. And to me, with a guy who gets a lot of success early on in his career, it's what does he do next? How does he handle that? How does he keep developing? Or does he say, I'm good enough where I am, and this is going to be okay moving forward? And we've seen a lot of quarterbacks come into the league, whether it was Cam Newton or RG3 or Deshaun. Take your pick.
Yep.
They were all going to rewrite the record books. They were all going to change the way the NFL was being played, but over time, things caught up to them, and to some degree, they caught up to themselves, and it changed. The narrative changed.
But this guy did rewrite the record books. This guy does now hold all the records through 20 games. And we could say, oh, the records don't count because it's a new era. Okay, that's fine. But against players playing in the same era.
Right, but this is the thing to support your point. If you're saying, okay, I'm going to emphasize from 0 to 20 games. Yeah, coach is like, okay, I'm going to emphasize from game 100 to game 250. Because if you're going to keep that standard going with Patrick Mahomes, the standard is Tom Brady. Like, we can't avoid that. Marino, as I told you guys, we have gone through this several times in history. Marino was the next Dan Fouts. He shattered all the records. And then since then, we have seen other players. We thought Brett Favre, with his long streak of starting, the numbers he put up, we thought Brett Favre was one of a kind. Then we had Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning shattered all of these. And the reason why they were successful is because they were supported, all right? Dan Marino by Don Shula. We saw with Mike Holmgren and all the great coaches that Brett Favre had there working with them. We know Peyton Manning was the first quarterback to be able to call his plays since basically the 60s and the 70s. And Tom Brady, his support staff, has been New England and Belichick. To me, I'm just reporting the news, all right? Don't get mad at me, all right? What the weather is. I'm just reporting what it is. He needs that to be in the same breath as those guys. That's what we're trying to say.
No, I get it.
Only longevity. And I told you this when we start working about LeBron. The only way LeBron is going to ever be able to approach Jordan because of the finals numbers is going to have to be longevity. And if he doesn't have that in spades, there's not going to be a conversation.
Right, but it wouldn't have been fair to all the players who came after Bill Russell to say, what's the standard? You got 11 rings? If not, what are we even talking about? Because that's not the way we evaluate. You can't. Sports are not singularly.
Right. The standard isn't just the rings, Nick. It's how the quarterback's going to play, how he's going to lead his team, how he's going to support the organization.
Absolutely.
But almost all of our great quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl.
And almost none of them got closer earlier than Mahomes. We act like Mahomes flamed out in the postseason. No, not even close to it. And you bring up, it's a very tricky math you do there. He's got to do better than the 9 first-half points. Does he need to do better than averaging what is 35 points per game against New England, or is that probably going to be good enough?
Well, it obviously wasn't good enough. They lost twice.
Right.
Is it good enough? No, they lost twice. So the first game, he scores 9 points. The second time in the first half, he scores 0 points. So the second time he faced the same team, he got worse.
Coach, I've never heard this evaluation of a football player ever, which is we're gonna ignore what happened in the second half of football games. You have to admit, with this specific player, for reasons I don't know, you keep moving the goalposts. It was wait till they have more film on him, then they got film on him. Well, let me see him win a playoff game. Then he won a playoff game and took Brady and the Patriots to overtime. Now,
at home, right?
Now, yes, at home. And listen, if you watch that playoff game and your thought was, man, Mahomes was the problem, then we just have a different way of viewing football. But now we're in year 2, or I guess year 3 technically, but his second year as a starter. He's trumping what he did last year, and it's like, well...
Right, but this is the thing, though. If we're trying to make him the greatest ever, and people put you to the test, all right, gun to your head, I would say no because of what I'm seeing now with Brady. Is he going to be the greatest quarterback ever? I would say no because I just don't think you can have that type of institutional support, coaching support that will give him the longevity to approach how we've seen Tom Brady play the position.
And look, I think he's an incredible player. I think he's incredibly talented. I think his upside is also incredible. But there's more to the position of quarterback than just statistics. And the reason I moved the bar is if we want to talk about the greatest ever is playing right now. The greatest ever in head-to-head games, they've won those games. In the games that he's played against that organization, he hasn't gotten better in the first half. He got worse in the first half. Is it good enough? No, it wasn't good enough because they didn't win those games. Was he the problem? He was part of the problem in the first half, right? So you've got to look at it collectively of the overall value he brings. When he signs his next contract, is he going to break the bank so that he has all the money and there's no money for anybody else? I'm not begrudging him that, but those are decisions that the greatest quarterback ever had made for the betterment of the organization.
Except Brady, when he got the first bite at the apple on a major contract, became the highest paid player in NFL history other than Peyton Manning. He did not start taking these discounts until later in his career. So I already see, because we know Mahomes is going to become the highest paid player ever, and that's going to be used against him, evidently, wildly unfairly. But Brady did that once upon a time as well, back in 2008.
10 years ago, we were saying this about Aaron Rodgers. I was at Aaron Rodgers' practice with Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, catching balls on the sideline. And Marino is my guy. Man, that ball hit my hand. I was like, man, this ball, there's something different about it. You could see the way it came out of his hand, how easy he threw it. I'm like, man, this is different. And then we saw the numbers. But has he had the type of support? That's what Coach is talking about. He's not trying to say Patty Mahomes is a bad player. I just slow down just a little bit. Peyton Manning, they used to say the same thing. So one of the things Patty Mahomes is going to have to do, he's going to have to beat Tom Brady. He's going to have to beat New England under dire conditions, either in the playoffs or something. That would be a start. But for me, I'm telling you, if we had to, you had today make that decision. Is Patty Mahomes going to be the greatest quarterback ever? My answer would be an emphatic no, because of what I'm seeing. And I just don't believe an organization can support a player the way Tom's been supported.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.